So is the market crashing or not? We've been asking that question for a couple of months already. We've been coming to some conclusions, but we might have some surprising answers from the April data that just dropped. So we're going to dig right into it. My name is Brad Gannon from the Brad and Theo Gannon real estate team. We are focused on East Vancouver and Burnaby, and that's the data we're really going to dig into today to come up with what's really going on in this market. Is the market crashing? The last month, we concluded that pre-sale condos, new condos really have come down a lot, and I still feel the same. I mean, we see prices down 30-40% across some of those markets. But we're going to see some data today that tells a little bit of a different story and perhaps some stabilization occurring. And both home sellers and buyers are going to want to really pay attention. And I can't focus enough how important the April data is. April data, March, April, May are by far the most important 3 months. I won't be doing a monthly update every month of the summer or the winter, but in the spring, this is when it counts. This is what I personally am interested in. I'm waiting for this data, and it's out now. Interestingly, I thought it was going to be stronger than it was. Why? Well, our team had a great month. Finally, we have seen some buyers get step off the sidelines. They were picking off some of the deals out there. We did 5 sales last month, mostly towards the latter half of April, and that's carried right over into the first week of May, where we already have 2 accepted offers. That compares to only doing 3 deals total for January, February, March. That was not what the kind of volume we usually do. So it feels to me like a bit of a tug of war out there right now, and that perhaps prices have come down to where supply is starting to meet demand. We're starting to see where that price points where the demand really is and where buyers are willing to come off the sidelines. So that's really interesting to me. What are those price ranges? What is moving? Let's dig into it. So we have 3 markets, Burnaby North, Burnaby South, East Vancouver, that all work a little bit different, but we're going to see a lot of correlation too. So, and the 3 types we always look at: detached, condo, and townhome. So let's dig into that. The sales to active ratio, look at that through Vancouver and Burnaby for detached, firmly in buyer's market territory, 9 to 12%. So any number here that's 12% or under is weak, is a buyer's market. Now both condo and townhome are firmly in that balance, what's considered balance range. However, if you look at that more closely, I think the Burnaby South townhomes look kind of weak, and even Burnaby South condos look kind of weak. A lot weaker than East Van or Burnaby North. However, later we're going to see the Metrotown condos did quite well as far as volume. So balanced to a buyer's market. However, the detached market felt like we were getting more people through the open houses if it was one of the lower priced homes in any given neighborhood. Now, every segment of the detached market through Burnaby and East Vancouver is firmly a buyer's market still, but I will comment on that we're seeing builders come out and start making offers again. So maybe some improving confidence, and that's something I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to because we didn't have any builders calling last fall or winter. Now, how much are prices off? So let's first look at detached, and it's roughly 10% year over year, and that's consistent through East Van to Burnaby. East Van's held up a little bit better, but I also feel it didn't necessarily ever get as overheated as Burnaby did. Now, detached sales volume in North Burnaby really jumped out from the stats report. And those stats report were not actually much changed month over month. A lot was pretty consistent, and even pretty consistent year over year. But this tells a tale of how quickly things can change. So in Burnaby North, it actually jumped 73% year over year in April. Now, what's holding up the best? Condos are holding up the best of all 3, so that's because of affordability for sure, and some new home buyers, first-time home buyers, and some moving up from 1 bedrooms to 2 bedrooms. We see these benchmark prices firmly $660 in East Van up to $750 in Burnaby South. The volume for all condo sales was strongest in Metrotown, so that area is still in demand, and you can see that average price is a little bit higher, but that's because a lot of Asian buyers really gravitate towards that neighborhood. Now, inventory in Burnaby North is down, so that's very interesting and possibly a good sign for that market. Now, this is something that's I'm just noticing more and more, that the price ranges. So when you look at the number of total listings, people can ask whatever they want. So there's still condos out there asking 1.5 million, 2 million, and over 2 million, but virtually all the sales activity is happening under 900,000. It's just really happening in that 700-800 price range, and for first-time home buyers, closer to between 500 to 600. So that's where we're starting to see demand. That's where it feels like prices are starting to stabilize. We're not haven't felt month over month declines in pricing so much through the last 3 months, which is a good news. Now, if that continues for the rest of the year, still remains to be seen. But something to pay attention to is that where have prices truly stabilized. Now, townhomes, similarly, prices have been kind of flat, not as volatile as both the detached or condos. See, Burnaby North is actually up a bit year over year. Burnaby South price just down a little bit. But remember, we talked about it last month in the townhome market. Active listings jumped in all three markets: East Van, Burnaby, and Burnaby South. Burnaby North, Burnaby South, and Burnaby North the most, 75 active listings, up from 57. And that just jumped out because almost everything else is just relatively unchanged. That also doesn't tell the whole story, because although you might see, okay, active listings were the same month over month or year over year, relatively the same, not a huge jump in inventory, there has been a lot of churning in the market. There's been a really big change in those active listings because lots of home sellers, including a lot of our clients, have chosen to pull their listings and take their homes off the market, rent them out, think of different plans. So the concentration of actually motivated sellers or people that have done price reductions or relisted at lower prices is much higher than it was several months ago. So I think that is good news for buyers, that there's more serious sellers out there and more realistic pricing overall. So for sellers, what's the key in this market? If you're looking to sell, it's a great time right now. I think this might be your best opportunity this year to get it on the market and get it sold. It's spring. That's usually one of the strongest times. Buyers seem to finally, I think there's a little bit of fear. People are talking about interest rates jumping up. We'll see about that. I'm not so sure, but that's a little bit what we're hearing from mortgage brokers and from some other professionals. For sellers, you have to price to the current market. If you're just a little bit too high, or if you just get out of that range, you're just not going to get any showings. And so it's just can be a tale of two market. One seller's like, I haven't even had a showing, and another, we have 2 new listings in the last 2 weeks. One's had not one showing request, and one had 30 groups come to the first open and 3 offers. So it can be really the importance of neighborhood, but also I think the main difference is one priced more accurately than the other. Our home sellers that are having success right now are just really working really closely with us and being very strategic. For home buyers, it is a great time to upsize. I talked about this last month. I still believe it. Those detached homes have really corrected. I don't know how much lower those prices can come, but I do feel the gap is narrow as it's been in a long time. There's not as many multiple offers. It's just a really great time to consider making a transition, whether you're downsizing or upsizing. But I think I always lean to upsizing if you can. So that is, and then the risk there, though, is for buyers, as we saw in North Burnaby, like when the momentum comes back, when the pendulum swings, the detached supply can dissipate very quickly. So that market can change, can take off much faster than the condo market that's going to have a lot more supply or a bigger glut of listings or more coming down the road. So if you're interested in knowing what your exact home is worth, what your situation might make the most sense, what's happening in your neighborhood, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to discuss it in your personal circumstances. We'd love to walk you through what your numbers might be and what a move might look like for you. So send us a message, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.